Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Welcome to New Life Live. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope some good things happen for you. And I hope this is going to be a great day for you. And if you want to join us right here for a couple hours, we'll be here at 1-800-229-3000. When I say we, I'm talking about Milan Yerkovich and Dr. Jill Hubbard. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, Jill. Hi, Steve.
Hey.
Hey.
Glad to be here.
Me too.
Me too.
It was scary getting here, guys.
I know.
What is going on
it's
out
like
there?
the Twilight Zone. There is a fire, and this one is closer to home here.
Yeah.
And it was like a dead stop on the freeway, people inching through.
Yeah, it's only 10 miles from the studio here.
Yeah.
But,
Can I tell you a story?
It's creepy.
well, we were telling you one.
What? Yeah, I was telling you a story. Nice orange
I know,
sweater,
it's creepy.
by the way.
It's horrible.
I know nobody
Thank
can
you.
see, but
So go
Well,
ahead.
on
Very
Facebook
festive.
Live they can.
Okay,
So
very
tell us
festive.
the story, Steve.
So I was in Laguna Beach when it almost burned.
Oh my gosh,
I remember
that was
that
serious.
years ago.
And I think 300 houses burned, and we drove away. I remember I drove away in the yellow convertible, and little Madeline was by my side there. I had her, because it was a bench seat across the front, so I had her. And I remember as I'm going down the hill, this giant airplane flying over, dumping the red stuff, on the fire. I mean, it was like something out of a movie.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay,
And-
that tops my story.
And Madeline looks, thank you.
Well, that was scarier. Come on.
I think she was 3, maybe. She looks up
Wow.
at me in horror and says, terror, Dad, forgot my froggy purse.
Oh.
Because we had rushed out of there trying to get whatever we could. I had gone back into the house before we drove off because I had remembered it, and I reached around to the back seat, grabbed the froggy purse, and handed it to her, and it was like
what a
the
moment.
world was going to
Yeah.
be okay because she had
Oh
the
my
froggy
gosh, how
purse.
did you think of that?
I don't know. It was just so amazing. But anyway, it is so scary, and I hope and pray that is contained.
I know. I know. This is just a smidge of what Northern California has gone through.
just a
so I can't
smidge.
imagine.
Well, let's hope it stays
Yeah,
a smidge,
I know, exactly.
But we have 80-mile-an-hour winds going on
yeah,
here.
it-
from
it's
the
Oh, it's
east.
Santa
terrific.
Ana.
The
it's
Santa Ana winds.
Oh,
yeah,
my goodness.
It's huge.
my umbrellas went flying. This
That's
morning.
horrible.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we need to pray for everybody out there because this is just not good. Not good at all. And it is amazing when you think you got everything under control and you're in control, a fire comes along to prove to you
You're not.
it's just not
true.
true. We had a great intimacy in marriage this weekend. I didn't get to be a part of as much as you and Kay did because I was taking care of my mom, and I was in Bryan. Ask everybody to pray for her. But Myland, how'd you feel about the weekend there with everybody?
Anna Vaught and Kim Dixon did a phenomenal job of coordinating these events. It is so hard because they're Zoom and then they break them out into rooms. They did a phenomenal job. The counselors were amazing. Your talks were sensational. Your closing talk was, you're such a good storyteller. And I loved your closing talk. And throughout the day, we got such incredible feedback, enthusiasm from the people. It was a day well worth the time spent. We were so excited. Looking forward to the next one in February and invite people to start thinking about that.
1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out about it. We'll be right back after this.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is being held online Saturday, November 14th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. 1-800-229-3000. I want to encourage everybody to get out there and vote. You know, I was talking about what things are going to be like after the election. And, you know, I'm just going to encourage people to be thinking about what you would feel if about 9 or 10 o'clock, you know, you sense that your candidate is not winning. You know, we need to be prepared for that we don't overreact, you know, and you'll be disappointed. So half of us are all going to be disappointed, about half, because our side's going to lose. And so whether your side wins or loses, we got to be ready. And the worst thing we could do is to think that it's the end of the world, no matter who wins or loses. God's still in control. And let's say this. Let's say you thought that your candidate was the good guy and the other candidate was the bad guy, all right? So has God ever used bad rulers to accomplish good things? Absolutely. So we just got to trust and have faith, and if your guy loses, then you got another shot at it in 4 years. So
Can I say something too?
Yes,
Steve?
please, absolutely.
This is where the Lord's Prayer comes in. So that we're praying that thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I don't think we recognize to the full extent. We sort of repeat those phrases and we don't think about them. But God is challenging us through the modeling of that prayer to be thinking about the future time in which God's will be done on this earth as it is in heaven.
Yeah.
And that is our salvation. That is a world that will be different than it is now.
Mm-hmm. It really is. I think most people, our prayer is, my will be done, and I don't care what's going on in heaven. Because
it's irrelevant. We don't even think about it because we're so busy with this world that we fail to think and keep our eyes above.
Mm-hmm. You know, my pastor's really good at talking about there's the lower story, us, and then there's the upper story. And there's all sorts of stuff going on up there that we need to realize it's not just about what's going on down here. And I love hearing or reading the scripture that talks about the army of angels. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a lot of angels, an army of angels. And I love hearing that any child that's being hurt or abused, that their angels are in the presence of God, Matthew 18:10, in the presence of God, pleading their case, making sure God does not miss what's happening there. And of course, God says if you harm one of these, not good. And so anyway, let's go to the calls. 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to, how about Jennifer? And I don't seem to be able to click Jennifer on here, so I'll rely on Terry. Atlanta, Georgia, listens online. Jennifer, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. How could we help today?
I have a question about the relationship between a client and a counselor.
Okay.
And I'm wondering what is appropriate disclosure from the counselor to the client. And the reason I ask is I went to a counselor. I had one session, and I went back 2 weeks later. And towards the end of the session, he disclosed to me that he was struggling with lust since I had been there last. And I didn't know what to say, and I don't know, I don't think I have a responsibility, but I felt very uncomfortable.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is
sure you would.
very sad, Jennifer.
And I got to tell you, for every one of you, there is someone else that would hear that, not even question whether it was appropriate or not, and it would be the beginning of something inappropriate. So I'm very grateful that you were discerning, sensitive. So guys, what do you think is the next step for her? Is it not going back to that therapist maybe?
I wouldn't feel safe with that therapist. I mean, self-disclosure for a therapist is supposed to be in the service of the client and not self-indulgent at all. And so to disclose something like that, especially to a female, feels very much like it's a crossing of the line.
Yeah.
And so I would not go back. I would tell him that you felt very uncomfortable. If you are able to do that, you can do that in a message that you felt very uncomfortable with his comment, and that you will not be returning to therapy as a result of that.
And you don't have to do that. You know,
don't
if you're
have
not
to.
comfortable, you're free. But if you feel that that's okay, then do it. Because you might be in a small community or something, and and all sorts of things could happen. But yeah, Milan, what are you thinking about this?
Well, first of all, Jennifer, I am angry for you.
Yeah.
I'm angry that happened to you. I struggle with my own gender, men, and how reckless they can be with their sexuality, and the number of people that are hurt by men who do not choose to tame or control their sexuality. And so it makes me angry. So I have to start off telling you that. Then as a result, I feel tremendous protection for you. I have a wife, 2 daughters. I have many female friends that I care for. And and there's this part of me that wants to protect. Now I'm going to go a little bit stronger here and say, I think he needs to be reported.
Yeah, that was my next thought.
I think that you need to contact the state of Georgia, and they have a consumer affairs. They have the licensing board for the counseling and all people with licenses, and to make a complaint. Every month I read the California disciplinary actions that are done by the Board of Behavioral Sciences. It's interesting, and often I'll read it to our staff in our counseling center to say, look at these things that you can lose your license over. And so there needs to be care for that. If he did that with you after 1 week, there's a week gap in 1 week, and then he tells you that in 2 weeks later, there's no way this guy should be doing having a private practice or being a counselor. I would report him. Now, you can do it, I believe, anonymously, or you can tell what your experience is. People want to hear that, and without feedback, the bad penny stays in circulation, and you just don't want that. And I'm so sorry that happened to you, Jennifer.
And is he like just a private practitioner? Does he work in a group? Is there somebody over him? I mean, that might...
He's private. He actually attends my church, and he's...
Okay.
So he's about 70, and he has a PhD, and I trusted him.
Okay.
And then I've been debating, should I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I think?
So,
I feel better about you reporting him given that he goes to your church and everything, I feel better about that than confronting him, because you just so easily he could, he's got a PhD, he might be respected by everybody, they would think the last thing he'd ever do is this, and so now she looks bad because he, I mean, who knows how many times he's been through this. I really like that, the reporting thing, because here's the thing, if it's the only time he's ever reported, then it's probably not going to have an impact. Maybe he made a judgment error with you a little bit, but I'm telling you, if there are 2 or 3 dots already there, the thing that needs to be done will be done. But at least when you report him, he's going to have to question whether or not he's appropriate with people or not. So I really
and Jennifer, is there any other explanation? Yeah. Before you report him, I want you to really think, is there any other explanation for what he said? Because at face value, it sounds really bad. Was there any context around it?
I don't recall what prompted it. It startled me, and I honestly think he didn't mean to tell me. He seemed uncomfortable, and I literally said, "Well, I think that's every man's battle." That's what I said to him, but I said, I don't know, and he said, "I don't normally have this problem." He said, "And it's not you." He said, "It's not you," but he said, "Since you were here 2 weeks ago," he said, "I look at magazines or I'm looking at television and commercials, and I'm struggling," and I didn't know what to say. I just said, "Well, this is over my head."
Well, that's a little bit like he should have been sitting on the couch, right? So
that's what I.
Yeah,
it's over my head.
I'm not sure why he was confessing to you. Yeah.
Well,
that was
it
definitely
could
a
be
misjudgment.
Yeah, it could be a different kind of inappropriateness. It could be simply, as he's getting older, the filters are starting to wear.
He did say, "I believe in being honest." He did tell me that. I believe in being honest. But he seemed to be uncomfortable that he told me. But I just left thinking, I don't think I should come back. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you called, and let me send you a copy of Milan Kay's book, How We Love, just a thank you for calling us and letting us put our input here into this. And I hope that there won't be anything other than a guy like him gets better. That's the outcome, that's the last time he ever does anything inappropriate like that. Let's go to Helen, Fairfax, Virginia, the great WAVA station there. Hello, Helen. How are you today?
I am fine, guys. So thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
I had a question about, I know you guys have a book. I've been listening to you guys since 2001. And I was hoping if you had a book or something to tell me about. I am dealing with a covert narcissist daughter-in-law, and we have always walked on eggshells with this family, and she finally has gotten to the point to where something happened that she will no longer, she's stonewalling us. She will not, unless we hold ourselves accountable for the damage we have done to her. She no longer, my son and her and my 2 grandchildren will be allowed to communicate at all. We have asked for a phone call. We have asked for, forgiveness. We have asked for mercy, and please do not turn us away. Just talk to us. But we received nothing.
What is it that you did wrong that she's saying?
She's saying that from the very beginning, we didn't welcome her to our family, and we didn't like her. And so that's the main thing, and that I am hostile, I am a liar, and she says, but you can't really tell because she does it behind everybody's back, and it's impossible to prove, but that's just the way she feels. And so I think she gave my son an ultimatum, like, you keep her away from us or go away. And he would never do that. And I'm glad he wouldn't, because he would never leave his children.
Yeah,
This
you know,
pain and hurt and this.
Oh, yeah. It's devastating.
I don't think someone should give him an ultimatum the other way. I think, though, he needs some encouragement to do some things. It's very, very tough. I don't see where the covert narcissism is. This is pretty overt. I mean, it's obvious. It's observable, you know. So we're going to help you with this after we take a break. We do have a book, Understanding and Loving a Person with Narcissistic Personality Disorder. And of course, I'll send that to you. But we will take a break, come back, and deal with this. 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. Here in the studio for another hour and 40 minutes. We'd love to talk with you, give you some help here. In the meantime, if you need to know about our workshop, like the Intimacy in Marriage, Every Man's Battle, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll be back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of 7 books, including Conquer Worry and Anxiety by Dr. Daniel Amen, Healing is a Choice by Steve Arterburn, and Forgiving What You'll Never Forget and Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, both by Dr. Dave Stu. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
All right, we are back, and I'll tell you, one of these tough situations where the person that's in charge of the grandchildren is married to a passive person, and now the grandmother may never be able to see the grandkids because, well, it's complicated. So let's start with
daughter-in-law.
Let's start with you, Milan. When you hear things like this, what are you thinking?
Well, Helen, this is more common than you would want to think. We see this all the time. Your daughter-in-law has a background that has created injuries in her, which cause her to be highly preoccupied about relationships, and then project intentions and motivations on other people. And this is common.
Exactly.
This isn't something new or unknown. Secondly, as Steve said earlier, you termed it covert narcissism. There's nothing covert about it. Now, she may be sly in how she disseminates information, but it's certainly not covert. It's highly overt. And I wouldn't see this as primarily narcissistic in nature, although there is a narcissistic wound in there. But it is more along the lines of what we call the ambivalent preoccupied person in the attachment research field. And this is exactly how they behave. In our book, How We Love, we call this person the vacillator. A more extreme version of this individual is a borderline personality disorder. And that would be something that you need to be aware of and your son needs to be aware of. There is a book written by an author named Mason, and it's called Stop Walking on Eggshells, and it is how to live with a person like this. Yeah. So this is not anything new. We hear it. It's very sad and tragic.
Yeah.
And your son is the one that has to really rise up and realize what he is married to, and to, number one, develop strength, because a person like this can be frightening to live with. And so he could be afraid, but yet if he allows himself to be intimidated into yielding to whatever she demands, then he is absolutely on a downhill slide with respect
It'll just
to
get worse and worse.
It'll only get worse over and over and over again.
But the scary thing is,
eventually that.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The thing is, in order to help this, like, you do have to set boundaries. That's where he has to rise up and be firmer. But that means he will go through a lot, right? And that's the hard part, because he will get a lot of flack for that. But over time, that is what works, is for him to rise up and to have some boundaries.
Yeah,
Well, I feel like, it's amazing that you say the book is about walking on eggshells. We've used that term for the last 11 years of their marriage when we were ever around them. And my son tried to do everything to sort of make it easy, make it distracted. Let's don't focus on that. Let's don't, And then finally what happened is that we don't know what happened. But finally he said, no, we can't talk to you anymore. We can't, so something triggered it. That was the last straw, but we can't for the life of us figure it out what it was.
Well, it was rage on her part that made him go to that extreme level. And I know that because I grew up in a home like this. So I know what it feels like on the inside.
Yeah. And there is, I just want to take up for this guy for a minute, because he is going to need some encouragement, and he's going to need some really good guidance. He ought to be in counseling just for himself dealing with this. But having been in that same situation that he's in, there's so much fear on his part of making things worse.
Right.
And so he's trying to negotiate this thing, and he's negotiating out of fear that, it's just going to blow up. Well, sometimes you have to be willing to blow things up.
Yes.
And
to lean into the storm.
Right. And it creates all sorts of consequences that are short term, because once it blows up, then you're able to deal with what's really, really there. For instance, at some point he's going to have to make a stand that his children deserve to be with their grandparents, all the grandparents. And he's going to have to say, this is an example of something that is unreasonable. No matter what my parents think or do, they need to be, and our children need access to their grandparents. Using my parents' grandchildren, our kids, as pawns in a destructive game is not going to happen here anymore. So I love you, I care about you, but we have to have a change here. And sometimes when a guy on a major issue like that stands up to this borderline, with the narcissistic wound, sometimes war gets worse, but other times there's a response of, okay, I'm not allowed to go to this extreme. The boundary's been set, and they, after a little fussing, come back in line. Well, I'll send you both a book on narcissism and borderline. Yeah. But pray for him.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah. the biggest fear is loss. That is always the fear. We'll be back right after this.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is being held online Saturday, November 14th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back and just talking about one of these very, very tough situations where you've got a daughter-in-law who's threatening no more visits with the grandkids. Milan, you had some thoughts here you shared at the break. Why don't you share those with everybody?
Well, yes. You talked about boundaries and appealing to the spouse, could be male or female, and asking them and telling them we can't continue to go on like this. And you said they will get angry, of course, because they think they're justified in their distorted view of the world.
Right. And they demand loyalty.
And they demand loyalty, 100% loyalty. And if you do not adhere to the 100% loyalty, then you are all bad, and they make you all bad. And you said, well, Steve, maybe they will then get angry, but then realize they have to come back closer to somewhere to the middle, which is, that's exactly what you would hope. But you have to say, this can't go on like this anymore. In extreme circumstances, when the person will not cooperate, you have to get more stern. And you have to take legal action. If you don't take legal action, you're going to be stuck in this the rest of your life, and your girls have to grow up, your kids have to grow up in this, and it's very damaging to them. So what can happen is in divorce proceedings, and again, I'm going to say something here that may sound weird, but divorce proceedings a divorce doesn't have to be something that you maintain if a person is repentant in the long run. It can be something that says, here's how serious I am, I'm filing for divorce. If you choose to repent and or change or get help, I'm willing to take you back, but I have to draw down a really hard line to get your attention. And within divorce proceedings, they have something called a 730 evaluation, which is where a psychologist is brought in to evaluate a spouse that appears to be acting in unhealthy ways. And they will make a judgment to the court to require things of the person should they want to have parental privileges and things like that. So I'm saying you're not helpless here. You have ways to really insist that this unhealthiness can't go on for a lifetime. Many homes, this kind of unhealthiness goes on for decades.
Yep.
decades.
Yep, you hear this all the time.
All the time we hear it in our offices, and we see it in our workshops, and we hear it on the radio. So that's why you have to have a strategy for.
But it's hard
this.
for the in-laws.
It's horrible.
The grandparents.
It's horrible
because
for
they're in
Helen.
a powerless position.
They are. Now, there are grandparent rights groups, but the son has to be the one to step up. And, he got trapped.
Right.
He didn't know he was walking into this. She was very charming at the beginning.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Fun.
So
and fun.
So there's this issue of hills to die on. Let's say she made this demand. I need you to cook dinner every night or arrange for dinner because I'm, whatever. Okay, maybe that's not a hill to die on. But I want to tell you, the grandparent issue is a hill to die on.
Yep.
And here's what I would say. Anybody that is saying it wouldn't be good for these grandparents to see their grandchildren. Now, there are exceptions to that.
Right, they have to be
absolutely.
pretty horrible, right?
That's right. But in most every case, someone just like this saying, hey, you do this, you're not going to see these kids. Most of the time, they are not qualified to raise those kids.
Right.
That's why you
exactly the
go to
point.
that evaluation because they're proving this is a little bit sicker than I'm willing to admit being married to this person. So I'm telling you, and I'm saying this out loud because I know there are other people that are in this exact same situation, and you really need to take a look at it because it doesn't get better on its own.
Nope.
And you're thinking maybe that it will. No, it doesn't. All right, let's go to, how about we talk with Jennifer on line 5 there. And
that's Ronnie on line 5.
That's Ronnie on line 5. All right, Ronnie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing today?
Great. You listen to WAVA, and we love that station. How can we help today?
Well, I was actually in my car driving when I was listening to Jennifer talk about her counselor, and my heart was just so, it was torn between anger and hurt for her because I've been in this exact same situation where the outcome was not what we wanted. And the things that she was saying that her counselor had said, like, this had never happened before. He wanted to be honest with her. These were repeat things that I have heard from the person, that bothered me. And I just want to advise her to, yes, report him. And I'd even go as far as saying, let the senior people in the church know, the people in charge, because sometimes these people, they prey on, they get these jobs where they can prey on people. They get a counselor's position, or they get a teacher's position, or some sort of trusting position where they know people are going to come to them and trust them or expect to trust them. And they prey on their vulnerability and take advantage of that. And it doesn't always turn out well. And the reason I think she should report it is because I don't think she's the first person, nor do I think she's the last person. If this man is 70 years old and claiming that this is the first time, no, he's comfortable with what he's doing, and it's happened again. And unfortunately, it's most likely going to happen again in the future.
I agree with you, Ronnie.
In my situation, I didn't want to report it, and I finally did report it, but I did not press charges, and because I just wanted it to go away. And fast forward 5 years later, and I got a call from a prosecuting attorney in Texas, and he was trying to locate me because in his investigation, he found out that the person that harmed me, he had harmed someone in Texas. And I feel like had I reported it, had I repressed charges with the authorities, the person that was harmed after me, this would have never happened to them.
Yeah.
And
so good.
I ended up having to
really good input
to help with that. But I pray for her, and I pray that God gives her strength to get through it.
Well, hang on the line. Really appreciate that phone call there. I think that's a very wise encouragement in that direction. I'll send you a restoration Bible just thanking you for caring enough to call with those comments there. 1-800-229-3000. If you have a phone call, if you want us to answer your call, right here on the air. We'll be in the studio another hour and 20 minutes, 1-800-229-3000. Every Man's Battle is November the 7th. You can also call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and find out about that workshop. That's on the 7th of November, and I can't even handle how close that is to today. And also, if you are interested in Hope for a Woman's Heart, that's November the 14th. That's Restore, and boy, does it ever help. Whether the marriage can be restored or not, it's a great, great, wonderful, amazing place for healing for you, for your own restoration. All right, let's go to Jody calling from Martinsburg. Listens on WAVA right there on line 1. Hi there, how are you?
Hey, I've been better. How are you guys?
Well, you sound so chipper to have been better. What's going on in your life?
On the show.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question. I am a nurse and I work in cardiology, and I have a doctor over me who's not my boss, but he has been just recently spreading rumors about me and just kind of defiling my character. And it's,
why? Why would he do that?
Really, I don't have an answer. I really don't. He's very angry. He came into my office yelling at me, saying I don't do my work. I'm leaving my patients, uncared for, because I had to take off to watch my kids because they went remote learning. I had to take a week off for that. But I did my due diligence. I covered my clinic. I did everything procedure-wise. And he's trying to take my clinic away from me and just very angry. My character is just being defiled all over the hospital because he's spreading rumors about me.
All right. So who do you need to contact that might be able to rein him in a bit?
I guess his boss. I'm meeting with my boss today to discuss it.
Good.
But I don't know if I should go to his boss. He's really not the best answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about my character being defiled. I asked my dad, who's a very strong Christian, and he said, Jody, just obey God and you leave the consequences to him.
Yeah, I understand that, but maybe there are some things where we do what we can do, and then we ask God to do what is beyond us. Maybe that's a more balanced approach there. We'll talk about it when we come back. You're listening to New Life Live. Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and so often we hear people saying, I know I need something, but I don't know what it is. Well, we've put together the perfect experience for you. It's called Brains, Boundaries, Battles, and the Bible. You're going to hear Dr. Daniel Amen, Dr. Henry Cloud, Dr. John Townsend, Sheila Walsh, and myself, Steve Arterburn.
In this online workshop, you'll participate in general sessions, then break out into groups. These groups, facilitated by licensed Christian counselors, are where true life change happens. You'll take what you've heard in the main sessions and begin to process the areas of your mind and emotions that have kept you stuck. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Please consider joining us December the 5th for Brains, Boundaries, Battles, and the Bible.
Register today to begin experiencing life in a new way. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of 7 books, including Growth Has No Boundaries by Drs. John Townsend and Henry Cloud, Take Your Life Back by Steve Arterburn and Dr. Dave Stoop, and the Emotional Freedom Workbook. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here, and I'm telling you, this cardiologist is breaking all of our hearts here, and it's not good because I don't know what his motive is. I don't know. But, Milan, you were talking about what you think might be the best path for her to take.
Well, Jody, I do need to remind you, your character isn't getting any damage to it. You're being slandered, but your character is not in question. Just because someone slanders and defames you or is nasty about you.
Right.
Yeah.
And to worry about that is not the worry. And my reputation will take care of itself even if there's one naysayer in the crowd. So
it just doesn't feel good. In fact, it feels very hurtful to be misrepresented.
Yes, it hurts, but it is not being her actual character is not being compromised.
Right.
Number two, you really need to work according to labor law, and labor law would say, I'm going to go to HR department. I'm going to complain and tell them what I'm being, accused of, the slander. And you need to go to your direct report boss. You don't jump over his head and go talk to his boss.
No, you go through the proper channels,
That's right.
Jody.
That's
okay?
right.
Because you're telling us you did everything right.
Yes.
So what he's accusing you of is false, okay? So you continue to follow the proper channels and protocol and go to the direct people that are there to help in situations like this. Because we were kind of musing about a whole kind, there's all kinds of motivations that could be going on here with this guy. But for you, you have to take the steps, talking to your boss like you're going to and going to HR.
Okay, and so I think it's always good to have a little phrase in your back pocket that you kind of practice. And one of the great phrases is, because they may come back to you with, well, this is how doctors are, or, this. Okay. But you want to be sure you've got this little phrase. Here is what I'm expecting you to do. Oh. See, that's kind of no question. You're not just complaining. You're not confused. Here's what I'm expecting you to do. I'm expecting you to talk to this physician's boss or the head of that department and get this taken care of for me. It's not fair. It's not right. No one should be subjected to this. So
this
I'm
is a hostile work environment, right?
Yeah, that's right. So this is what I'm expecting you to do about my complaint. And there's no, this is how he is or whatever. No, you need to do something about this. Okay?
Okay.
And
Thank you so much. You've
yeah,
given
and
me
I
a
think
little bit of hope.
Good.
I think we've got a copy of how to have that difficult conversation somewhere around the warehouse there, and we'll get that to you.
But the thing is that we have to understand too, and Jody, we really empathize because this is a much harder time right now to carry out all things, even within hospitals and medical care, as well as all businesses, to have things done to a level that were done prior to all of this, last January, for instance.
Yeah.
And so, a doctor who cares about his patients, et cetera, and this is his world, he has to live, all of us have to live in a place that everything is more compromised and it's harder and it's highly stressful, and some people aren't managing it well.
No.
And so, we have to understand that. And are looking for
people to blame.
That's right.
Right.
But never fight your own battles when you work for a corporation. Have HR do that. Let them defend you. Labor law says your rights need to be preserved and protected, and a good HR department will do that.
The phrase that I like to associate with something like this is the phrase king baby, or the label king baby. And, you know, when somebody is acting like a baby and they have a very high position and are respected, it should not be difficult for anyone to understand that someone with children may have to do some things, be away from time to time during this crisis where kids are either home all the time or, and like in our case, every other day they're back at home. You need to be the person that, rather than complain about that or put somebody down, to have grace and facilitate that. Ridiculous. All right. Where's your heart, cardiologist? That's what I want to know. Where is your
just cuts the mouth.
Heart? He needs a transplant. He needs a heart transplant. You know, the Bible says that he will take out your cold, stony heart and replace it with a heart of flesh, a heart that actually has feelings. And that's what we would love to see happen. I want you to know that we are always grateful for anybody that supports this ministry. Some of you do it financially, and oh my goodness, are we ever thankful for that. Some of you just pray. I was with my mom this past week, who's really, really been sick and in pain. And there she is, member of Club New Life. I think she was one of the first, still sending that $100 a month check. And I know there are a lot of people that don't have a lot of money like her, but that's what you're doing. And the other thing is that she's praying for this ministry all the time. And I know many of you do that too. We're so grateful. And you know, we've got a wall calendar. It's the 2021 wall calendar. Here's what I want to say. A gift of any amount, I'll send you this New Life calendar. It's really beautiful. It's great. It's got some great scripture and encouragement there. But if you call us and say, you know what, I don't support you with money, but I do pray for you. I support you with prayer. I'll send you a calendar also for that, okay? Because you're just as big a part of this team as somebody that gives financially. Those who can, you know, during this COVID time, we've had some people had to drop off because there's no employment. You know, let's just say, you know, you worked in a restaurant in New York. I mean, what are you going to do? So we feel for you. And I hope that if you're able to stand in for somebody that has literally lost all of their income, that you would call us and do that. All right. Final note here. I am doing on Thursday at 11 a.m. Life Recovery Today, and that's all about recovery for everybody. And like today, I'm going to do a little program that I'll air later on 12 steps for everyone, because we do believe there are 12 steps for every person. And you can see that on the NRB network at 11 o'clock Eastern Time on Thursdays. You know, today we've talked about inappropriate daughter-in-laws, we've talked about inappropriate therapists, and we've talked about inappropriate cardiologists. We've talked about a lot of inappropriate people. And here's the thing. If you hear something about somebody being inappropriate, rather than shake your head and kind of throw up your snitty nose at them, what we ought to be doing is looking within ourselves to be sure we don't have any of that. And maybe you heard something and you think, wow, I kind of was inappropriate or pushy or whatever with this other person. You can always go back and make it right with that person and say, you know what, I didn't do well on that. I need a do-over. What a great thing that is. But all of us need to be kind of refining our appropriateness with other folks, because we're all we've got, you know, God and us. We got to make the best of it. My thanks to Milan Yerkovich, who did such a great job this weekend, Intimacy and Marriage Intensive. Dr. Jill Hubbard, Forgiving Our Fathers and Mother, one of her book. Thank you, Jill, for being here. You guys watch out for that fire. Yep. See you next time. 1-800-229-3000.
Thanks for listening.
Join us.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.